United Nations. Um, the same thing what the USA did before in Syria, in Iraq, and there is just no international justice system to prevent this issue. I think this system, this international system, I mean the United Nations, should we should think about a different way to change this system, and it is not very easy, but at least the there is a new country like Turkey, like Singapore, like Malaysia, should take their role in the new world. So the system of the United Nations is too old, and I think all the world should start about how to change it.
Yes, thank you. And of course, we have the responsibility to solve our problems especially in the Middle East have a lot of problems, and Africa has a lot of problems. Sometimes those we expect solution from they are part of the problem, especially with the food and poverty. When the Africans, they cannot get enough money from their exports because the Europeans took their products very cheap price, and then these people suffer. Even though like Sudan, he has all kinds of potential to produce food, and not enough food in Sudan. Also, Egypt, especially, was hard hit by this effort. What happened today was that the United Nations and Turkey, they encouraged Russia and Ukraine to come together to solve their own problem. And one thing was critical about, and especially the Ukrainians, maybe Russians also did it, but Ukrainians put a lot of mines on the sea. So the sea could not be used efficiently or freely for normal trade. And Russians also blockaded the Ukrainian ships and other ships also from carrying goods in and out of Ukrainian airports, which is one of the Odessa and two more. And because the war stopped it suddenly, and this traffic of carrying food also stopped. So we heard from the Turkish defense minister today, there are 80 ships already waiting, and some of them are filled with food, and some are ready to load their food, and then and 20 also of the ships are Turkish ships. And one problem also was why Russia was blockading this transfer. Of course, they want to make it hard for Ukraine to do their business and to earn money and exports, etc. But also Europeans and Americans applied a lot of sanctions on Russian trade, Russian companies, and even those who deal with Russia are also under sanction. Not only Russian ships are under sanction, but also those who carry, for example, ship companies or transportation companies that are carrying goods are also sanctioned. So with this deal, we know that they are exempt from these Russian sanctions. So there is novelty, of course, how they are gonna ship. Are they gonna clean? Are they gonna clean? Clean the mines, or are they gonna draw maybe safe route for these transport? And Also, that's another thing. But if as long as now two sides came together, they can draw a map. Even maybe take a little bit longer, but they know where the mines are, Ukrainians and Russians. So coming together, they can draw a map to move forward. So this kind of easier. The hardest part was to bring these sides together. Now, because they came together, they can be working on these details, and it's easier. It's going to take a little bit time, but I think in Turkish we say starting is half of finishing. So because already started, we can finish that. And in the meantime, I see a couple of professors and listeners if they want to.
Professor Ahmed,
yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just say some word, that word, the ramification of this agreement today is very important. All the countries welcomes this landmark green deal, which signed today in Istanbul. If I read, as I read today, that it was very important. For example, the Italian Prime Minister said that the Green Deal was excellent news for the international community to avoid a global food crisis. Even the EU foreign policy also welcomed effort by Turkey and the UN leading to that deal. And he said today Istanbul Agreement is a step in the right direction to solve the problems caused by Russian illegal invasion to Ukraine, as he said. Canada Prime Minister welcomed the deal, saying that the G7 working closely with a partner like Turkey and others to ensure that they can get the grain out of Ukraine into place around the world where it is needed without putting at risk. This deal it is very important for world to avoid food crisis. It is very important what Turkey did today, and I think the deal is going well, as you mentioned, and they start already try to export the grain from Ukraine to overseas. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, we want to mention some problems around the world about food crisis. We know Sri Lanka, for example, was very turmoil and chaotic recently, and it's because of the food problem. And also we noticed that there was a government collapse in the UK, which is one of the strongest economies. Italy also facing problem, and many other countries are facing problem. We know some Arab countries, especially those without oil and gas, like Egypt, Tunis, Lebanon, who doesn't produce oil and gas. They have a serious problem because both oil prices and food prices increased, at least doubled, because of the Ukraine war. So they were very much impacted by this, especially Egypt, with a huge population, 100 million population, and is under a serious pressure because Egypt also, everything comes with irrigation, and especially like grains, I think is not very much fit for grains, and so we see a big tension there. So this will help struggling countries, struggling with high food prices, high gas prices, and also, of course, don't forget that the world just or trying to come out of this corona pandemic, and it is also affecting everybody. And especially these countries at the same time are touristic countries like Tunisia, Egypt, Morocco, they also lost their touristic revenues or revenues from tourism. So this is a serious problem. I think it's going to help now to solve their problems.
Professor, at the same time,
Yes.
no one expects that Turkey or can go on this deal in this time. Yani, it is take, no one expect that. Yani, lots of the newspaper now write about that Turkish role, and they said that the striking deal. It's not easy to achieve this deal after in this especially in this after the invasion of Ukraine and the Putin administration want to cut everything and to react against the West. It is very important what happened today, and actually, I see exactly what the CNN write about this or what issue they said that striking deal. It is not easy to achieve this deal in Turkey and between Russia and Ukraine. It's very important for all the world.
Yes. Also, one thing, it is they are still fighting, and
Yeah, that is the important issue. They're still fighting, and they achieve that deal.
And coming together to solve this. And Turkey was the only side that could bring them together and should be appreciated. I think it's a very good achievement. But at the same time, we expect that the war in Ukraine may get out of hand. There was an article in Foreign Policy just a couple of days ago, yesterday or the day before, saying, what if the war gets out of control? And it can spread, it can cause a serious problem with maybe by mistake or by also by maybe deliberate action. If things get very much against Russia, for example, they can so far they can manage, but the more the war drags on, continues, and it becomes more risky to spread to other countries, and then Russia has to face with NATO, and America has to, or Europeans has to enter.
That is a very important. Sorry, Doctor. That is a very important issue. That after all these sanctions against Russia and against Putin team, and it is not easy to make Putin agree to help lots of country which not in his side. So it is not very easy, and this role for Turkey is very important. And I think maybe it is the first step to stop the war. It is very important step to stop the war.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, Doctor. Yani it's a major war. I call it's the third world war, because this war is happening between three superpowers, between Russia, Europe, and America, and we have already four superpowers. China is maybe another one, maybe the second one. But when three superpowers fighting, it's like if elephants are fighting, so the small ones definitely will be impacted by this. One motivation, one reason for Russian agreement on this deal is because of African pressure. Africans are suffering a lot right now with the food prices, especially when food are expensive. Even the food that is produced in Africa are sold to Europe, for example, because they pay more money and people at home are starving. And when it is scarce, those who have money can buy even from Africa. So it's a big major problem. And after a while, Russia felt the pressure from Africans, because Africans supported kind of split between supporting Russia and supporting the West, or some of them remaining neutral in the Ukraine war. And Russia, of course, don't want to. Also, along with China, they have a strong presence in Africa, and recently we have seen their presence with Wagner in Libya, Chad, Mali, and all this. So Russia does not want to lose its presence, its impact, or popularity among the Africans when, of course, economy bites, economy hurts people. It's going to hurt the Russian allies also. So I see Africans, pressured Russia to release these goods, these grains. Yes, Dr. Tarek. If anybody else wants a microphone, please go ahead also. You can ask questions. You can also comment.
Doctor, just I want to ask you a question, please. What happened after that? It was your yesterday space, and I couldn't speak because it was a very important space. But it about the summit, what's happened, in Tehran between Turkey and Iran and Russian leaders. But what happened today in Syria, and after the sign of the deal of the grain today in Istanbul, the helicopter, the Russian helicopters attacked lots of family in Syria, and yesterday what happened in Dahuk. Do you think that what's the reason exactly? Is this because the ramification of the summit which happened in Tehran, and some newspapers talk that they don't that all the leaders were not were in good. They don't sign anything, just talking about terrorists, and everyone have his idea. They don't not make any exactly deal about how can fight the terrorists. Yani, it is this what happened in Dahuk and what happened today in Syria. It is this. Do you think is it the role of Iranian party to in this issue? I think you understand me, or should I explain more?
Yes, I understand. The deal, this grain deal, the food, I think it was agreed between Erdogan and Putin in the Tehran summit in Iran. And I think they put the final touches. But on the other issues like Syria, Iraq, and how to